questions about this particular exercise with the spacing exercise. Rather than wait until Monday to answer all those questions, I'll just go ahead and field those questions now. So this is a screen recording, and I'm showing you the actual handout itself over here in the left, and it's shown in InDesign. So as long as you follow the directions exactly, things will work out okay. So I'm going to go ahead and, so it says right here in Illustrator, create a 20% gray 6x6-inch square centered on a letter size sheet. Okay, so that means I'm going to launch Illustrator. Now I'm going to wait for Illustrator to launch. And on this exercise, don't forget that you have to use the approved fonts, okay? This isn't the time to be using all wonky, weird display typefaces or anything funky like that. This is about just clean understanding of visual spacing, not mathematical spacing, visual spacing. So my Illustrator is up, and I'm going to go ahead and make a new document. It is going to be a letter size document. I'm going to call it for print, even though it's not going to be, and I'm going to switch to inches. So I'm going to go ahead and create it. And it should create it any second. There it is. And I'm going to do a Command R to turn on rulers. Command R for rulers. If you need to use your pull down, rulers are always under view, just like guides are. Okay? So what I asked you to do is make a 6x6 20% gray square and center it in this page. Okay, so I'm going to get my rectangle tool, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click and release. Okay, so I know that it's 6 by 6 inches. Okay, I'm going to tell it okay, and it's going to give me a square. And so now I can position the square. Now, since I have my smart guides on, okay, it's going to tell me how to center it. You see how that little X thing shows up right there? Okay, so I'm going to let it center that. So now it is properly centered inside of that space. Now you do not want a stroke on this shape. Okay, so while my rectangle is still selected, I'm going to come up here, and there's the frame right there. So I'm going to turn the stroke to none. Okay, next we want the rectangle to be a 20% gray. Okay, so if I click on the little drop down for the fill, because I know this is my fill, I can come over here to a 20% gray because that's one of the default swatches that you have. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to be a 20% gray. So if I click off of it, that's exactly the way your project should look. Now, rather than mess anything up, make sure your rectangle's selected, right click on it, and let's go ahead and lock that baby down. Oh, this is Illustrator. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to Objects, Lock. I'm going to lock my selection. Command 2 is a really weird quick key for that. So I went ahead and locked that selection so I don't accidentally mess it up. Now you're going to do this twice. You're going to do it once with a serif typeface and once with a sans serif typeface. Okay, so I'm going to switch to an approved typeface. Okay, so I know that Garamond happens to be an approved typeface, and I can go down and I can find, I can use Adobe's Garamond. I can use Adobe's Caslon. I'm going to use Adobe Garamond Pro. So there it is. Okay, now you do not want to use bold or italic. You just want to use the regular version of the typeface. Okay, and I know that I'm going to need to be somewhere in the 90 point zone. So I'm going to come into size in my character window there, and I'm going to make it 90 points. And then I'm going to come over to my text tool, and I'm going to click and release. And my first letter, I'm just going to go ahead and type an A. Okay. And so, and I could go ahead and make another one. I'm going to Option drag, make this a B. Okay, and then you can go on and so forth. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this. In this this lecture for this week, we talk about OpenType and how we activate OpenType. And one of the ways you can do it is simply when you have an OpenType typeface, select the letter, and if there's additional versions of that letter, it will show them to you. Okay, so I can do that with the A as well. So I can see the two different versions of the A. It isn't very exciting with Adobe Garamond Pro, but some typefaces will have all sorts of interesting swashes and all sorts of weird stuff that go on. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and set these letters up in rows. And it's not going to have the same number of fonts in each row. I believe, okay, so we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we can have 5 characters high. I'm going to drag, duplicate. I'm going to make this one the C. I'm going to make this one the D. Okay, now as you can tell, see these letters, this is about visual spacing. And so the D and the C are very, very different than the space around the A. And you have to take that into account. And you have to take into account the space to the edge of the gray square, gray rectangle. So take that into account. See, if I show you this example that I gave you, look at the nice space. Look, there's the same amount of space here as there is between the two lines of type. You'll probably want to go ahead and put a rule in once you've decided how tall your column needs to be. So you may want to go ahead and drag, a rule in, and then you can lay them all out onto that, okay? I'm not going to tell you what font this is, because then that's going to make the exercise too easy for you. But I wanted to show this to you. Now, again, you're going to do it in a serif typeface and a sans serif typeface, okay? I've labeled this one, okay? This is my serif typeface, okay? What font, what size, and my name, okay? I want that on all of these, okay? So what that means is this, okay? Okay, I'm still on 90-point type, so I'm going to go back down to like 10, and I'm going to say this is a serif typeface. Okay, it doesn't need to be big. I can make it a little bigger if I want. Line it up on the edge there really nice. Give myself a nice, comfortable space there. I want you to start thinking about designing everything. Take pride and take time and think about everything while you're doing it. Okay? So that gives you an idea of how to do it. And when you're all done with both of them, put them together in one PDF. Okay? And go ahead and post it to the Typography Google folder. So I hope that was helpful.